Hello, everybody. My name is Leah. I'm the administrative assistant here at Africa Fire Mission. I want to welcome you all to our training today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your days to come and participate in this. We're so happy to have you here, and we're very excited for the training today. It'll be about pride in the fire service, and Mark Feyst is here to present it with us. So we're super excited to have him, and just that he has taken his time out of his day to come and present today. I want to remind everybody that this training is recorded and then posted on our YouTube channel, and I'll be sending that link out later today. So if you ever want to go back and refresh your minds on what you learned today, or if you wanted to share it with a colleague or just anyone else in your community that is interested, you can always show them that link, and we have a whole playlist there with all of our past trainings as well if you ever want to go back and you're interested in something and you can go back and learn about it. And I also want to remind everybody that if you have questions throughout the training, please raise your hand, and we will be looking at you guys just throughout the training, making sure no hands are raised, or you can type in the chat. I also monitor that throughout the training as well. And if your name that is on your Zoom right now is not the name that you want on your certificate, please either change it, or you can email me or chat me in Zoom as well, and I will change it for you on your certificate. I know that's a problem sometimes, and we want everyone to have the right names on their certificates. And those certificates will be rewarded if you stay for 75% of the training. Usually if the training is an hour, that looks about 45 minutes in total. And so I will be sending those out later today. Hopefully if you get 75%, then you get the certificate. And I also just want to remind everybody, one last thing is we do not reward certificates for if you go back and watch those YouTube channels. It's amazing, and I encourage you guys to do that, but we just don't give out certificates for the past trainings. And other than that, I want to just hand it off to Jose. He's our fire safety advocate, and he has a word of encouragement for you all.
Thank you, Leah. I truly appreciate the starting off of the meeting. Thank you, Mark, sir, for joining us. We truly appreciate. Always great to have instructors like you on board. Well, today my encouragement is more of building each other. Building each other is important, and building each other in the fire service is really paramount, because on the training ground, you have nobody but your other person, who you're fighting the fire with or the situation. And I'm taken back to a verse in the Bible, in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11. It goes like, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. We've been doing these trainings of late, and you've been inviting people. You've been telling people in the firehouse that, hey, there's good things happening on Wednesdays. Yeah, and guess what? Last week on Wednesday, we had 90 firefighters join us in the online class all across Africa. Yeah, so you need to pat yourself on the back and tell yourself, good job. And also, one of the other encouraging bit I would want to tell you is, please continue with the trainings. These trainings help a lot, and I would want to point out one firehouse that has been really doing tremendous job, and that is the firehouse in Mombasa called Mariakani Fire Brigade. Mariakani has been doing tremendous work. They've been encouraging each other. They've been eating with each other around one table. They've been training on drills. They've been doing breathing apparatus work. So that is part of bringing all the fire service or all the crew together, So continue what you're doing, yes, and that will actually make people in the firehouse more together. And guess what happens in return? The community will embrace you, the people that you're serving in your community. You'll find that your bosses will go like, oh, you guys are doing a good job. And guess what will happen to you? You'll feel more proud, and you'll be happy that I am a firefighter, and that brings pride to us as in the fire service. Back to you, Leah. Leah, take us through the next stage.
Thank you so much, Jose. As always, just every Wednesday, I look forward to the encouraging words that you have to say. And I just wanted to build on that everyone in this training today really should just be so proud of themselves. I have seen just the numbers grow throughout these trainings, and it's been so encouraging for me to see. But you guys have really been spreading the word. And as Jose said, we had roughly 90 firefighters all across Africa joining us last week. And so we couldn't have done that without you guys and without you guys spreading the word about these trainings. So I just want to thank you all before we start the training that it just is such a joy to be able to come to these trainings every week and see you guys and talk to everybody. So with that, I want to pass it off to Mark Vanderweist. He has a wonderful presentation for us today. And so it's off to you, Mark.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'm just going to get my screen here shared for us real quick before we get going. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. So thank you, everybody. Welcome to our time today. It is a joy to be back with you folks again. The last time I was with you was, I think, in August of 2020. I was actually teaching you guys from a hotel room on the road. I was, I think at that time, doing some filming for some training videos, and I was able to squeeze this in the morning real quick before or in between, I should say, between the filming segments and so on. So it's been a bit of a while since I've been with all of you, but it's good to be back. And it's my hope to hopefully have a good hour with you today in covering off our subject of pride in the fire service. And certainly the words of encouragement from Jose kind of tie into our topic that we're looking at here today. What I'm going to give you guys in terms of a PowerPoint presentation is collection of thoughts that I guess I can accumulate from my years of experience in the fire service. So 23 years so far, I've kind of collected some of the ideas and thoughts that kind of lend into the topic of pride in the fire service. And even though the screen you see in front of you says the 21st century firefighter, it does entail the pride factor that we want to exhibit as being a firefighter in this industry here. This is a presentation that we have given, myself and my cohort Matt, at a few conferences around the country. And even though it's being recorded today by the Africa Fire Service here, the Africa Fire Service mission, if you did want to get a professional copy of this, you can buy it, not for me though. Fire Engineering, who makes a lot of books and videos and whatnot, actually filmed this presentation 2 years ago. And so it is available on DVD or on streaming services that they have on their website. So you could go there too if you want to see this entire presentation. It's actually a bit longer than that, but it's like a 2 hour, 2.5 hour kind of a presentation in its entirety. But I've got it whittled down today for us for an hour, and that's it, without making it too long for our time here today. So let's get into it. This has two parts that I'm going to go through with you all. And the first part is looking at the kind of the new person coming into the fire service, but it's applicable for the people who've been here for quite a while anyway, because a lot of the points we're going to look at here do relate to those who are new and senior within the ranks of the fire department. Let me get my thing going here. And right off the bat, we have technical difficulties. To stand by for 1 quick minute. I'm going to start this again. Here we go. Okay, so why did I, along with my buddy here, Matt, put this program together? Well, because we've found there's a bit of a hole, a black hole in terms of the fire service with addressing the firefighter. There's lots of programs that we teach and take about leadership, for the officers, for fire chiefs, deputy chiefs, how to be a better leader. But when addressing the actual firefighter, there's nothing really detailing or kind of directed to them to say, here's what you need to know in terms of being a good firefighter with pride and with what you can exhibit with your actions and behaviors and attitudes to make you effective within your own department and within your own station. And these are based, as I mentioned, these are a collection of thoughts that I've over the years have observed and have remembered from being passed on to me. But these are things that you don't, that are not told to you when you first join, and you kind of learn them after the fact. So we thought, well, let's kind of put this together now. We'll kind of give this upfront information to everybody that they can utilize and be much more in the know about what's expected of them in terms of being a firefighter. The first point is being a sponge. You see a picture there of a sponge. I'm sure you guys may use this down where you are to clean, and we use sponges because they absorb water, right? We can put a nice clean sponge into a bucket of water, wring it out, and then we can wipe down, say, a table or something else, go back, rinse it, and it absorbs water and absorbs the dirt that we're cleaning up from that particular item. And that sponge is a good analogy for what we as fire service want to exhibit. We want to be a sponge. Individually, we all want to be a sponge. We want to absorb, not water, but absorb other things. And so we broke down the word sponge into a quick acronym that we can kind of say, well, here's why we want to be a sponge, right? So the first thing we want to absorb is what's the station expectations that we're working at. And it's good to know when you go there as that new person or as that senior individual, what the expectations are for your role at that station, because it will vary from place to place, obviously. That's one thing I can say from my experience. When you go from department to department and from station to station, it is its own little unique world. And so it's good to know what they are expecting of you when you are working there. The letter P refers to preparing your equipment. So that means when I come on duty, I'm going to get my equipment from my gear locker and I'm going to get it prepared. So it's ready to go. It's not going to sit in some dusty locker. And then when the time comes to respond to a call, then I go get it. I go grab my stuff. I bring it by the truck. I get it prepped. I make sure everything I need is there. My gloves, my helmet, my boots, my pants, all of it's complete. It's ready to go. So I'm preparing my equipment on the personal side in terms of being prideful with my actions. The second part is with the apparatus, the truck. The truck you're going to be driving or responding on also needs to be prepared as well. And even though you may be coming on to relieve somebody else of duty, for example, that they finished their shift and you're coming in to relieve them of duty, you still want to check the truck out to make sure it's good for you. So that's going to involve a bit of time, maybe a half hour going around, checking in the equipment, making sure things are there that's supposed to be there, nothing's missing, and nothing's empty in terms of what needs to be filled to make ourselves prepared to respond when the time comes. So P refers to preparing your equipment personally, as well as also in the station with the fire truck itself. Open your eyes, right? So be absorbed by watching and observing. And if I open my eyes to what's being done in the fire hall on a daily basis, I'm going to be aware of what's going on as well. So if I'm observant, aware of my surroundings, I want to see what's going on. I want to make sure I'm involved. I'm not just a zombie coming to work and occupying a space in the station and not really being too involved at any point of the actual day there. N refers to never stop learning, and that's something that we're doing today, obviously, but it is a continuous process. So even for myself, I'm still, I guess, a young guy in the fire service, only been doing 23 years. There's lots of guys who've been there a lot longer, 40, 35, and they too are still learning. And so the attitude you want to have is never stop learning, because if the point when we say I'm done, I have nothing more to learn, is the time for us to say I'm also resigning, because at that point in time I'm not going to be too effective in being a firefighter, because I've closed my mind off to saying I've got everything in here I need to know, I'm good, I can carry on and not be taught anything more. So never stop learning. G, get involved. I kind of already mentioned this, but this is more so in terms of the social aspect of what the fire department may do. So not knowing how the departments work down in Africa, but I know where I work and where I live, we do a lot of outside functions. So we get involved with the community in terms of fundraising to help support endeavors that are impactful to the community, or we'll also do public relations in terms of educating the public on fire safety and stuff like that. So that's where we can get involved as a firefighter. And by doing that, again, you're showing that pride of the service to the community, because we are there to obviously serve them. And if I'm showing a vested interest in taking time to educate them on, for example, how to exit the home when the alarm goes off in their home, or what to do if they have a kitchen or a stove fire or other things, then it's going to show to them that I am involved in their safety. And again, it shows to them that pride that I'm taking in being a firefighter for them. Lastly, the E refers to embody the job. It means I want to be, that's a fancy word, embody meaning be a part of it. Yes, you're a firefighter by title, but it is a vocation that you've chosen where you live it each and every day. And there's so much to get involved with as being a firefighter, that we want to embody ourselves into the job so that we are truly a firefighter, not just my job's a firefighter and that's it. I live and breathe this 24/7. It's kind of the mindset that a lot of people have when they do join the fire service. So that's how we broke down that acronym SPONGE. But we want to make sure we are absorbing and we are being effective in the way there. Next, station expectations. So I kind of mentioned this. I think the next few slides are going to go through each of the one there, but just some more highlights on some of the acronym letters there about station expectations. What's to be expected? Well, being on time is one. So if the shift starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, for example, then we are arriving at 7:45 to make sure we're there on time and ready to go, not 8:10 or 8:15. We want to be there on time. And it's a kind of a running joke, I know, in my family in the fire service, is that if you're there, if 8 o'clock is the start time and you show up at 8, you're late. We want to be there at least 15 minutes or a half hour prior to when that time starts. So get there early, be on time. It allows you to get prepared for work, because now you've arrived. It's not a rush to get into the station. You're not rushing to grab your gear. You can take your time to kind of ease into beginning your shift or your start time, because you got there early enough to make that transition. So be on time. Being prepared also involves bringing the right clothes. So if you're there for a long period of time, so for example, myself, I work 48-hour shifts. I work 2 days back-to-back nonstop. So I have to make sure I bring all my clothing with me that I need for 2 days, change of clothes for working out in the gym, change of clothes, 2 or 3 sets in terms of if I do some work and I have to get very dirty and sweaty, I got to take a shower, change. So clothing changes are needed during the time of work. So make sure you have an adequate change of clothes to bring with you in terms of being prepared. Food, again, if I'm working a long shift, like I said, 2 days, if you guys are working 12-hour days, or maybe 24s, or even 8s or 10s, make sure you bring the food you need to feed yourselves. So that's also part of being prepared. Looking well presented, right? So one that involves with your clothing, it's nice and neat, it's washed, it's pressed, is also your body, you're shaved in terms of your facial hair on your face, because again, that appearance that we give to the public is going to show the pride of us within that fire service. And also for safety, you want to have that clean shave look for the SCBA that we're wearing and using. And also being well rested, getting a good night's rest before you go to work is going to help you be prepared to go to work and be effective as well. Show respect for rank is also part of expectations. So one thing that we do, and I've always taught in recruit training, is that when a person of higher rank enters the room, we always stand for that person as a sign of respect. So if a chief walks in or a deputy fire chief walks in and I'm just a captain or lieutenant or just a firefighter, I'm going to stand when they walk in. It gives that person the show of respect due to them based on their rank. So we teach that because it's a good way to acknowledge the presence of a person coming in the room, and also to give acknowledgement to the rank that they carry. We're all people here. We have different characteristics. We have different attitudes and how we conduct ourselves. And there's going to be friction sometimes between individuals. So I may not like a person, vice versa, they may not like me. However, if that person carries a rank, I'm going to show to them that respect because of the rank that they carry on their shoulder or on their collar of the uniform, because that's what we do in the fire service. So when we have that person walk in the room, we stand up until they say, "Hey guys, take a seat and relax." And that's fine. It's showing that person that due respect for the rank that they hold. Other station expectations, chores and duties. This is the fun part where not a lot of firefighters look at this as being the highlight of being a firefighter. All right, cleaning toilets, mopping floors, cleaning windows. You know, that stuff is part of our housekeeping duties. Washing the trucks, maintaining equipment, that's all part of it. So it's not the glory work, it's certainly the menial task of our job, but it's an important task because we want to have a clean home where we live and where we work. So if I'm going to a fire station for a 24-hour time frame or a 12-hour day, or in my case for 2 days back to back, I want to have a clean place. I'm living there for 2 days, as well as if it's a 24-hour day. So we have to make sure we clean our station, and it's an important job for us to take care of. So even though it might be the senior man on the crew, like I am where I work, I still take part in doing this. I'll be helping to clean toilets. I'll mop the floors because I'm taking that pride in having a clean fire station that I can show to the public and also to my coworkers that we have this pride within ourselves, and we're showing it by doing station chores. What else we have for expectations? The station telephone. So when people are calling the fire hall, we always tell the new person coming in, when the phone rings, it's always for you. Meaning that you should be the first person up to go answer the phone and take it from there. But when the phone does ring in the fire hall, make sure you're courteous, be very professional. If you don't know the answer to the question, tell that person, I don't know, but I will find a person right now who can answer the question for you, and put them on hold and go find someone of higher rank who may know the answer to that question. The station phone is the fire station phone. So it's meant to be used for fire department duty business. It's not meant for us to make personal phone calls, to call our girlfriends or call our wives, or to place bets and so on and so forth. It's there for fire station business. So there have been times, again, in my experience, where I've witnessed individuals abuse the fire station phone, and it's being used for lots of reasons that don't relate to the fire department at hand. But it is there for us to use, and when it does ring, make sure we're courteous, professional, and hand it off to somebody if we need to, who can answer questions for us or give the permission to do things. For the new person that's coming in into the fire service, part of the pride factor is you have to prove yourself as that new person. And one expectation is going to be that you're the first person to wake up and the last one to bed. So if we are working a night shift and it's time to go to sleep, you wait until everybody else goes to sleep, and then you're the last one to crawl into bed. Not the first one to go, you're the last one to go. And in the morning when it's time to get up, you're the first one to awake. That's gonna lend into a good dynamic with the crew, because they're gonna see the fact that you're not being lazy, that you're showing that respect for others who have done the same thing in their first days when they first came into the fire service. So you're always first to awake, and you're always the last one to go to sleep. Other expectations for that new person coming in, and also for the senior man, because sometimes I'll do a few of these things. So bring snacks. So if I'm going to work, like I was last week, I worked Friday and Saturday, and when I came to work Friday morning, I brought with me my food, but I also brought with me some snacks for the guys to eat. So I bought a nice dessert platter, and we had that to munch on for the 2 days. So it's a good idea, you know. It brings the crew together at the kitchen table. It builds camaraderie. So bring snacks if you can. It helps the downtime to go a little quicker, and you do a lot more talking when you're eating with other fellow crew members at the kitchen table, always as well. Make coffee. Every fire hall has a coffee maker, and a lot of firefighters drink coffee like it's water, and that's what they want to drink. So make coffee, and make sure the coffee pot's always full with fresh coffee all the time. Clear off the table. So if you are having a meal, when you're done, get that table cleared off. Help out to clean up, and when it comes time for washing dishes, do all of them, everybody's dishes. It doesn't matter, not just your dishes, but everybody's. And again, it's going to show that due respect for others who were there, because believe it or not, even the senior guy, sometimes I get up first and I'll grab all the plates and I'll wash them for everybody, and I'm the senior man on my crew. But again, it's a way of showing that pride. I take pride in what I do, and I'm willing to serve others who may be of a lesser rank than me. I'm going to serve them by, in this case, washing their dishes. What else? Training. So when we are doing trainings, if you're getting together as a station or department to do your daily or weekly or monthly training time, make sure that you're the first one in and the last one to leave. It's amazing when you stand back and watch large numbers of people come together in the fire service. You can pick out pretty quickly who is really wanting to be there and who does not want to be there, because the people who do not want to be there are the last to arrive and the first to leave. But the people who do want to be there and they want to learn and participate, they'll be the first to arrive, and they'll be usually the last ones to leave. So how do I build myself to be a prideful person, or to take pride in what I do in the fire service? When it comes time for training, be the first to arrive and be the last one to leave and go home. If you're meeting in a classroom, for example, make sure it's cleaned afterwards. When you first get there, it might involve doing a little cleaning job to get the place cleaned up prior to class, and also when you're done as well. Take out the garbage, empty the garbages after we're done. That way there's nothing sitting around for a day or two rotting and causing a stink in the actual room. Make sure you have the coffee machines emptied and turned off. Make sure that is locked up. That needs to be locked up. And just making sure that meeting space or that training ground is ready for the next time it's going to be used, maybe the next day or the next week or so, but it's left in a condition that it can be used again without requiring lots of effort to be cleaned up and so on when people first arrive when they get there. The trucks, right? The trucks are the fun part that we drive on and use for our responses. And it's going to involve us when we do get back in the station. If it's a very, say, a wet and rainy day and a truck's full of mud, we wash the truck, make it look clean again. Even though it might get dirty, going back out maybe later on, it's sitting in the station clean. And when a member of the public maybe come by the fire hall to look at your fire truck or to ask a question, they're going to see a clean fire truck sitting in the station. That shows pride, as opposed to a dirty fire truck full of mud and just looking like it came from a war zone. It doesn't look like the crew there is taking pride in their equipment. So when we come back from calls and the truck is dirty as can be, we'll spray it down, we'll wash it down and make it look clean for the next call before it goes on out. Making sure it's restocked. Right? If we have to refill fuel cans, for example, or SCBA cylinders, we're getting all those refilled, refueled. So again, when the call comes in the next time, that truck is ready to respond, being fully stocked and ready to go. It's not forgotten about and then, oh, hey, I need this and it's empty. And now we're kind of behind the 8 ball when we're on the fire ground for an actual response. Okay, I mentioned about preparing your equipment in the beginning with that SPONGE acronym. And this is kind of building a bit upon that, but with SCBA, make sure you check it in at the start of your shift. It's the most important thing you can wear and use in fighting fires is the SCBA. And it is a very good device, but it needs to be checked that it is working for us on that particular day. As a picture you see there showing you a cylinder valve with the needle showing almost full. So if that was my bottle and my pack for the day, I would probably take that bottle out and go fill it so that the needle's on the actual full mark. Even though it's only 500 PSI short of being filled, I would fill it right to the brim. That way I know my bottle is topped up to the top, it's filled completely, and I have a lot more air to use should that time come and be needed. The bottom picture shows an example of an officer who is not taking pride in their job, because you'll see a gear bag sitting behind a truck on the concrete floor, and in that gear bag is that person's firefighting gear. It's not ready to go. And as you look at the right, you're seeing the opposite of a person with their gear at the truck ready to go. So now that individual can walk into their boots, pull their pants up, put the hood on, put their coat on and the radio, and then jump in. Whereas the bottom picture individual, he has to open the bag up, take everything out, and then get dressed. So when you think about time to respond, we're eating up time by not being prepared with my equipment. I want to make sure I come to work, that I'm preparing my equipment as I need to, so that when the time comes to go to a call, I'm not wasting time getting ready to go. And that's also part of pride, taking that pride for yourself by laying out your equipment as you need it to get dressed quickly and to also respond quickly at the same time. All right, we already discussed this for the most part. I'm not going to repeat it, but about preparing your equipment with what's on it. For example, make sure your nozzles are operating on the hose lines. You got a full tank of fuel or diesel as well. It's clean and it's all ready to go for us at a moment's notice. All right, opening your ears. I mentioned this with the acronym, opening your ears, being involved in what's going on around you. And that involves here about station news, right? So a lot of talk takes place in the fire station every day. And that talk is educational, right? What's happening within the fire department with other members within their own personal lives or calls from previous shifts. So maybe you came on duty today and the crew working yesterday went to a pretty good car accident or went to a kitchen fire and talk about it. And so if you listen to what they're saying, you can actually learn a few things, because they may educate in what they did, and you can say, hey, you know what, next time I'll try the same thing too and see if it works for me, right? So open your ears to what's happening around you with the station talk on calls that they've gone on before. What's happening as far as promotions, who's being promoted, who's retiring, who's moving from place as far as one hall to another station, for example, or who's being hired as a new person coming in. That's all part of our department news that we're opening our ears and absorbing it for ourselves, along with what's happening in the industry. So even though you guys are right now in Africa and I'm way up here in the US and the state of Michigan, we're still in the same industry. And what happens to us here in Michigan, you guys may hear about down there, and it may lend into what you guys are doing or experiencing as well. So by keeping your ears open to trends that are occurring in the fire service industry, news of what in terms of maybe new equipment that's being released or being improved upon, that's going to help us or help you individually to be that much more prepared and much more absorbent of what's going on around you. Part of opening your ears is exactly that. Just open your ears. That means listening. And a lot of firefighters have a hard time doing this in terms of active listening. There are individuals who want to talk all the time, and they are chiming in or interrupting the conversation with what they want to say all the time. But it's good to just to sit back and listen to what's being said to you and then respond, right? And when you are the person who is always wanting to chime in, you'll develop a very bad reputation for being that kind of person, as opposed to being an active listener, just listening, absorbing what's being said, and then responding when it's appropriate. You'll develop a better reputation for that, as opposed to being a guy who always wants to talk all the time. In the fire service, in the fire stations, there is going to be that camaraderie and that banter that takes place between individuals, and teasing, we'll call it teasing. And the world may look at it as being bullies, but for us, it's teasing, it's fun teasing, and it's part of our environment of building that camaraderie between us and each other. And it's going to involve having thick skin, because as someone is teasing me, I can't take that personally, because I know it's part of us being a team. It's not meant to be personal. It's part of our camaraderie of being a firefighter in that fire station. And when a person takes that bantering too personal, that's when we're going to have a lot of fallout that may take place between the individual themselves or the crew as a whole. So we need to make sure that we are developing thick skin, and that we are able to take part in that bantering as well. There's a good saying that we have in our industry up here in the US and Canada, and that is, if you're not being teased, start worrying, because that means that you're doing something wrong. If the guys aren't teasing you, something's wrong. When you are being teased, it means you're part of the group, and that's part of our environment within the fire service, is that teasing factor between individuals while we're working away. The other hot point is going to be social viewpoints, political viewpoints, and we have a lot of downtime in the fire hall between calls, and it's time for us to chit chat and talk, and that involves everything. And it involves, of course, politics and the news of the day and so on. But be careful in terms of opening your ears, listening to other viewpoints. It's good to hear other people talk, let them express their viewpoints on social issues, political issues. And when you're too quick to jump on it or to engage with sometimes these viewpoints, that's where fights break out between individuals. And I've actually witnessed this a few times in my career, where I've witnessed people get into fist fights because they were they were discussing a political news story at the time, and between the two individuals, one took one side and one took the other side of the argument, and it just kept on ramping up until eventually they started getting into fisticuffs between the two of them, requiring us to jump in and break them up. Right? So we don't want to get to that point. That's not being prideful within the fire service. We want to listen, and if I'm asked my viewpoint, I give it, but I'm not going to get into a in-depth, heated debate with an individual that I'm working with when it's going to lend to nothing. It's not going to be fruitful. Having a good debate that's calm, in a calm manner, or between two friends, just talking back and forth and kind of having that calm conversation is fine and good, but we want to make sure we keep it that way. It doesn't get to be heated that we're getting into fist fights in the fire station or outside the fire hall as well. Why is this? My apologies. It seems that things have frozen here. So just give me 1 minute. I'm going to fix this for us. Give me 1 second. Let me go back to screen sharing. Here we go. Okay. Our next point, never stop learning. And this involves individual as well as a crew together. As you're doing your time together for teaching and learning, that you are both individually, you are learning, as well as a crew, also together, drilling together to build up that team that needs to be effective when you are working together. So it's going to involve yourself seeking out those opportunities to learn, whether it's like today, logging into a Zoom session that you can learn something, or if it's attending a class someplace else, or even reading something, right? There's magazines, there's online magazines, there's books, there's DVDs to watch, there's YouTube to watch. There is access to learning information everywhere and anywhere now within our current day and age with technology. And so there's really no excuse as to why we cannot learn. So never stop learning means that we are going to be seeking out and looking for those opportunities where we can take part in to learn to better ourselves for the most part. For those individuals who are of a more senior time in the fire service, learning also involves teaching. And it's amazing that when you are teaching, you learn a lot more because you have to know a bit more to teach somebody else. And so if you really want to improve yourself as a firefighter with your skill sets, your knowledge, don't be afraid to look at the instructing side of it. Become an instructor, or take the opportunity, if you're asked, to maybe teach a small lesson here and there, to take that, because it's going to help you to learn more and to be much more effective for yourself in that learning cycle. Another good aspect is writing. So I do a lot of writing myself. I write every month. I have to write 3 articles for fire magazines, and every month of the year, as well as I've also written 2 books. And by writing, it helps you again to retain information. It helps you to actually seek it out, because I have to go do research, look things up. And by doing that, it helps me to build my memory anyway, or my mindset on packing it full of information. So learning also involves sometimes being a little proactive. And if you have a desire or the gift of being able to write, then my advice to you would be to take that up. And there's always there's lots of opportunities where you can, even in Africa, write an article and have it submitted to maybe up here in the US or other parts of the world. It can be published and used as a way to teach others. So if you're interested in doing that, I would advise you to reach out to or contact Leah or someone there at the Africa Fire Service Mission, and they can get a hold of me, and I can direct you where you could send those articles to if you are looking to do it for yourself. It's a good thing to do. It's actually very, very proactive in that fashion. Okay, part of learning also is with your eyes being open. What's happening in my backyard? Observing what's going on within my backyard. And as you are working or driving around or responding to calls or going from your home and to the station in between your shifts and so on, take a look around. What's happening around my community? What's being changed? Are they building new buildings? Are they tearing a building down? Are they renovating a building? And that's also part of my learning process, is observing what's happening within my own backyard. Because if I go to work, there's a good chance that I may get a call to that particular address, and over the course of a year, they've been knocking it down or building a new building, right? So it's good for us to be aware of what's happening within my community, in terms of what's happening with building construction, what's being torn down, people that are moving in terms of is there an increase in population happening? So where I work, for example, we're seeing a huge increase in people moving into the community, and they're building tons of homes right now. There's actually 10 developers in separate areas building large housing projects at the same time. So they figure, excuse me, within 2 to 3 to 5 year time frame, there'll be an increase of about 30 to 40,000 people moving into the community in that time frame. That's a huge influx of people, and it makes problems for us to deal with. But part of the learning factor is learning the new streets that are being developed, what kind of homes that are being built. Are they big houses, small houses? Are they apartment style homes? That's all part of my learning process. And so just by observing what's happening in my backyard, I can pick up those clues and help to educate myself in the process. Okay, one thing I always say and try to pass on to people, this is kind of my little saying, is do not wait to be spoon fed. What that means is, as a baby, when you're born, or if you have a child yourself, into the family, and you're going to feed that young child, a baby, most particularly, you got to spoon feed it. You got to get the little spoon and put some food on it and bring the spoon to the baby's mouth and let them take it. That's spoon feeding a person. And in terms of the fire service, with Never Stop Learning, they're individuals who want to be babies. They want to sit there in their seats at the station, and they want to be spoon fed by somebody else information, as opposed to going out themselves and looking for it, or in this case, feeding themselves. So how do I take pride in what I do? I take pride in what I do by feeding myself with education and looking for it. Just like you go looking for food in a grocery store or in your own fridge at home, you look for food to eat. You got to look for the information, the education to feed your brain and to feed your hands to practice your skills to be that much more effective in the long run. That's showing great pride in yourself to be that firefighter 100% each and every day. Okay, so we have technology nowadays, and technology involves our phones, our smartphones. Everybody's got one, it seems, nowadays, and they can do lots of things for us as far as access information and so on. But a lot of times firefighters are more concerned with this in terms of they're always on it, as opposed to putting the phone down and being involved with what's happening with the crew at that point in time. There's some captains I know, it's their station rule that the phone stays in the locker. So when they come to work, their personal cell phone is not on them, it's in the locker. That ensures that they are going to be involved in the day's activities 100%, as opposed to the phone's in their back pocket or in their pocket somewhere, and they're every 5 minutes pulling it out and playing with it and not really being involved in the day's activities, right? So with your phone, there's a time to use it, no doubt about it, talk to your family or what you might have to do with it, but there's also a time to put it down and to be involved with the people you're working with, and to make sure you're actually yourselves involved with them. Part of getting involved is also eating together, right? So we showed the picture before the kitchen table. This is a picture of my old shift that we had a Christmas party the one year. So we all got together at the station and we cooked a big meal. And this is all of us sitting down having our Christmas dinner together before the year is over. But eating together does build that camaraderie, and also builds that that pride amongst yourselves as a family, for the most part. Just think of your own families at home. You probably sit together, eat meals together as a unit, as a family, because that's what families do. They eat together, they sleep together, they live together. The same thing with the fire service. We want to transfer the same ideas from the family home into the fire hall, and one aspect is we eat together. And sometimes we'll make our meals together, as far as bringing food in and cutting things up, preparing it, and so on and so forth. So that's part of our traditions that we want to uphold, and that helps to build our pride as a firefighter by upholding those traditions and every year doing them and not forgetting about it. All right, I mentioned that fancy word before about embodying the job. All right, let's a bit more about this. One thing is entitlements. Some firefighters think that they are owed everything in life. So when they get hired and they come into the fire service, they think that now the fire department owes them everything, and that's not the case. And as my one bullet point there says, the job does not owe you anything. You as an individual decided to become a firefighter. You went through the process, you got hired, or you signed up and joined. You were not forced to do this. So because of that voluntary action on your behalf, you want to make sure you are embodying or involving or absorbing the job as it is and being a part of it. So don't become an individual who thinks that I'm entitled to everything, because you're not. Okay, we have a term we use up here called the pacification of the fire service. What that simply means is, you look at a baby who's born, sometimes mothers will give the baby a pacifier. It's a thing you suck on your mouth, and it kind of mimics them being, breastfed somewhat. So it keeps them sometimes quiet and gives that baby that soothing feeling that they're being fed, but it's just a pacifier that's in their mouth. And we find firefighters in the fire service who want to always have that pacifier in their mouth, right? So they're becoming like little babies as opposed to being men in the fire service. And so they sometimes will have the phrases that they'll echo that, I can't do this. Well, yes, you can do it because it's your job, right? So do it, do your job. Or I don't have to do that because I'm the new guy, or who knows what. No, it is your job. You do have to do this. Or maybe it's too hot outside today to do training, or it's too dirty for me to get involved with that particular job. Those are part of the sayings that we hear a lot from people who are trying to be a baby in the fire service. And that is not a person exhibiting pride in their job. the opposite is going to be the case. I will do it. I want to do it. It could be hot, it could be cold, it could be raining, it could be snowing. Maybe not where you guys are, but where I am, it could be snowing. I'm still going to do my job and get it done. That's taking pride in what I do. So for entitlements, we don't want to become people requiring pacifiers as we are trying to be a firefighter. Don't forget about your family, right? So your family has to be included in what you're doing. That's part of the job. As I mentioned in the previous 2 slides, that we want to emulate what happens in the home as a family unit for yourself into the fire hall. And that's the same thing. We want to incorporate or involve our family in what we do. And it's a factor of pride. If I can show my wife and my 3 kids, here's what I do on a daily basis. This is what I do. And they come to the fire hall and they see what I'm doing. They are showing themselves that proud factor of what their father's doing. At the same time, I'm showing that pride to my kids and my wife of what I'm doing to provide for them and keep them safe in their own community. So don't forget about your family, right? Keep them included in what you're doing. Let's see here. This might not be too relevant to where you guys might be down there, but I'll just touch on it real quick. Up where I live, a lot of firefighters, when they're off duty, like to still tell people they're firefighters. So they'll walk around wearing firefighter t-shirts, and their cars that they drive have all kinds of neat stickers that are plastered on the front and the back that say I'm a firefighter and this and that. So they're advertising to the world of what they do. And that's okay, it's fine. That's showing certainly pride in the job, in their job, but at the same time, it can also be a hindrance, because when you're advertising to the world, I'm a firefighter, and if I'm in the public on my off-duty time yelling at somebody, or I'm caught stealing something, or I'm speeding and the police pull me over, it doesn't look good, right? The public sees us and they see, oh, there's a firefighter getting arrested for theft, or there's a firefighter in someone's face arguing and getting very violent in essence with their voice and with their actions with a member of the public. That does not look good on us. So when we're off duty, we still want to exhibit that same characteristics of being professional 24/7. And with the world watching us and what we do, part of embodying the job and having that pride in our service and our job is to make sure we are carrying on as a professional firefighter 24/7 all the time. As my last bullet point there says, go the extra mile, help people. That's what we do. So even when we're off duty, you want to still help people. And if someone I see is struggling with something, with a shopping cart or at the airport, with getting their bags off the baggage carousel, go help them. I'll help the person. If their car broke down, we'll stop and help them, right? That's part of going the extra mile and helping people. And it's because we enjoy the job. We're showing that pride of being a firefighter, and we're going to do it whether it's on duty or it's off duty. This won't relate to you guys too much. This is referring to firefighters who respond from their homes to the station in their own personal vehicles. And maybe it does, I'm not sure. If it does, it's my ignorance not knowing, but I do apologize. But we do have models up where I live, where we have certain fire departments where members stay at home and they respond to the scene or to the actual station in their personal vehicles. And the case of this here, sometimes people drive too fast. They speed quite a bit in wanting to get to the call very quickly. And the case of this in 2007, a firefighter responding from his home, going to the actual car accident, on his way to the accident, himself hit somebody and killed that person. and in the process was charged with criminal negligence causing death. So the point here is even though we may be at home responding to a call, we still got to have that professionalism of taking our time, driving wisely and safely to get to the scene or to the fire hall to be effective as a firefighter.
All right, Mark, I'm sorry to cut in, but we are at our 1 hour time limit. And so I am just going to have to cut you off a little bit here. I apologize about that. But if you send the PowerPoint our way, we can make sure that we post that so everyone can finish going through the slides in their own time. But I just want to thank you for presenting today. Thank you so much. I can see in the chat there's a lot of comments just saying thank you for an enlightening training session and that they appreciate it and that it was a very educative session. So thank you very much for that. I just want to remind everybody that this was recorded and so it'll be posted on our YouTube channel later. So if you want to go back and view anything or send it to any of your colleagues, you're more than welcome to do that. And so I also just invite you to invite your colleagues and invite other people that you know that are in the community that want to learn about the fire service, that might be interested in joining or just want to know more about it in general to these trainings. You can use the same registration link that you used this week to come to this training for our next week training. We're going to have Mark back again and he's going to be presenting on ladders. And so, like I said before, just invite any one of your colleagues, share the link. You guys have been doing an amazing job of getting that link shared. As we said earlier, Jose mentioned that we had 90 people in the training last week, and we have a lot of people in this one as well. So it's clear that you guys are spreading the word, so we're very thankful for that. So just continue to do that. And I also just want to invite you all to stay for tea time. Jose is about to host tea time in just a little bit. And so if you have any questions, I know we didn't get a chance for questions today, but you can answer or ask some of those questions in the beginning of tea time. And so I will just pass it over to Jose now. Thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.